We're at the CableNEXT conference. Really, it's the end of the CableNEXT conference, and we're here very honored to be with Gary Lauder of Lauder Investments, I guess, is that?
Lauder Partners.
Lauder Partners. Long-time investor in the cable space, understands it very well. And the subject now is OCAP. You know, what's your perspective from an investor on OCAP? What does it mean, business model, that sort of thing?
OCAP is a great thing. It's, rather it will be once it's really out there, which it isn't yet. It has been promised for a long time. I think this time they mean it. However, at what scale, unclear. What the business model might be for anyone who wanted to develop an OCAP thing is also unclear. It has to be negotiated with operators. I've suggested to operators in the past they're offering a kind of a deterministic, known business model, a priori, kind of like what exists in some of the cell phone markets, but that hasn't yet materialized, but I'm sure sooner or later might. But initially, OCAP is going to be a useful, a much more better way for people to be able to get their an application that they want to exist for whatever reason onto a set-top. And so, for example, one of my companies, ICTV, has a little client as part of the system. They got a little client that goes on the set-top that sends keystrokes back to the head end. Right now, it's problematic to fit that teeny little function in with the other stuff that they're doing on existing guides. Doing that with OCAP should make it a great deal easier. Another of my companies, named Integra 5, which is caller ID on TV, they have similar issues. OCAP should help them as well, because it's not obvious, but for them the set-top part is a very minor part of the system. The major part is what they do back in the network. But the set-top is a major blocking issue for them, and OCAP should help relieve that. And so I think that OCAP as its own business is unclear how large or soon that will be. But OCAP as a way of helping relieve that roadblock to accomplishing various objectives, I think will be great.
Well, I guess one of the other things, in talking to you just in the last couple of minutes, kind of clarified this for me. OCAP won't necessarily mean opening it up to the world of the individual developer, but maybe some of your other investments in these companies do that. Is that kind of do they act as that bridge?
Well, what I'm saying is this. If an individual developer came to me with a business plan to create one or more OCAP applications, and it was completely dependent on OCAP and dependent on whatever they can negotiate with the cable operator, I would be reticent to invest in such a thing. Reticent, but I'm not saying no, because there might be some fantastic idea. But it's just, to me, there's a lot of risk inherent in such a plan. But to the extent that it is OCAP is basically helps unblock what is today a bit of an obstruction to other things that are going on, then I think it's useful. And so it's also useful for operators to who are themselves trying to get stuff onto the boxes to create a more rational environment to get stuff on there. It would be useful to companies like you could imagine a Facebook app or an eBay app, or there are various companies for whom this might be a useful adjunct. There are programmers who may find it useful. TV Guide obviously has created an electronic program guide under OCAP. So it's going to serve a lot of purposes. Hopefully the best purposes haven't yet been thought of, which implies we already have good ones. Someone's going to think of something better. May or may not happen, but it should be a good thing. Too many hopes have been placed on it for very long, and the continual delays and deferrals and disappointments, that can sometimes cause people to write off a given technology, just as it has with interactive television. Interactive television used to be going to save humanity, and the market cap of all the companies used to add up to about 30 billion. Liberate being 15 of that. Right. Then it came, that everyone was disappointed, and many people said, it'll never be anything. Well, I think they're wrong too, and so these cycles of expectation and disappointment, have occurred more times in interactive TV than most industries. But I think that this will help make it real.
Sounds good. Well, Gary, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.